Hello, world travelers. I'm going to read you a story today about not just bees. This is a bee. I'm sorry, I'll talk more about his coloration. That's another story about crafts. But this book is about patterns. And when you really start looking at nature, nature gives us so many patterns to look at. And this book does just that, called Bees, Snails, and Peacock Tails, written by Betsy Franco and Steve Jenkins. Okay, let's dive in. This is like math made fun. Those people that love math, they're like, but math is fun all the time. Those of us that are like, well, I like patterns. There you go. And I like math too. But okay, just take a second. This is a Caldecott winner, so the pictures are worth noting. So see, right, we have a snake with the pattern on his or her skin on the snail, on the scales. I said snails. There's the snail, right? Look at the pattern in the shell. The spider, the pattern of coloration on the 8 legs, right? Insects have 6, spiders have 8. And there we have our bee with, well, really, now that I look at it, not so far-fetched, more orange than yellow, and the stripe formation with all the stripes in the wings themselves. So here we go. In the day and in the night and on the land and in flight, tucked in hollows of trees and tide pools and seas, you'll find patterns and shapes from snakes to bees. And now that our world is warm again, we need to get out there and take a look at the things around us. Most of us are more out this time of year as far as outside than in winter. Study a beehive and you will see a mathematical genius of a bee. The hexagons, right? So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. A hexagon, 6 sides. The hexagons you'll find inside fit side by side, by side, by side. This math is passed mysteriously from worker bee to worker bee. So like, of course, they didn't go to school to study this. They were born knowing how to make the comb. That's what the hive, inside is called, the comb. This is active time for bees right now. Moths show their symmetry. Now I should back up. Symmetry means like when you can see identical pattern or some kind of repetition in pattern. So see the moth on both of these wings, we have what are like, they look like big eyes. Yeah, but really see the eyes are up there. These are to fake out the predators. This is to make the moth look really big and scary. Moths show their symmetry every spring, flitting at night on fragile wings. Notice the colors and stunning eyes perfectly marked on either side. Attracted to windows or candlelight, moths are kaleidoscope shapes in flight. Yep, there's a saying, like a moth to the flame, and that's what that is. Okay, now this is beautiful, especially if you can see it first thing in the morning. So look at how much work that spider has to do to spin and spin all that silk into these main branches of the web, and then all the connecting pieces to catch their prey. Some spiders weave delicate tapestries that shine in sunlight and sway in the breeze. They spin lacy lines, they go round and round. Their knowledge of shapes is truly profound. They sit in the center, admiring their art, and wait for those flies who aren't quite as smart. Well, I don't know if they're sitting in the center really admiring their art. I think that's a little poetic license there, but sure enough, they're waiting for their prey. They're going to catch them And that's how they live, just like we have to eat things. Now look at that. You saw also the peacock on the front cover. So this is the male peacock. And like many bird species, the male is very colorful to attract his mate. But the female's colors are far less showy, so that she doesn't get seen while she's taking care of the nest. If you should meet a peacock pair, the male's the one with all the flair. The female, who's rather plain, is dazzled by his pattern train. She watches as he struts and preens. Oh, we've talked about preening before. That's when, right, like ducks and other birds clean themselves. His fan ablaze of blues and greens. And if you've ever really gotten to see a peacock feather up close, they like sparkle. The male peacock, they like sparkle. Oh, it's just incredible how the light hits the different feathers. Now, here in Belgrade, we've seen this, haven't we? In the fall, you look up and hear honk, 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 and you look up in the sky, and seasonally you'll notice it filled with graceful V's. Okay, here are the geese, either coming or going together. A knowledge of angles help migrating birds to fly with less effort and also be heard by forming a wedge that swans and geese slice through the air and travel in peace. It's a pretty scene, right? The sun setting, reflecting on the water. See the water reflecting right there? I try doing that in art. It's not easy. It looks easy. It's not easy. Okay, so look at the ants. Somebody left an Oreo, or an Oreo type cookie, and they're going to work as a team, straight line. Somebody's also left a piece of watermelon. I wouldn't be eating that after. When a foraging ant leaves a scent on the ground, then the worker ants know where the food can be found. In a very straight line, they march home with the snack, knowing piece by small piece that they can carry it back. In careful formation, they travel along. Their deep sense of teamwork is inborn and strong. They are workers. They are wicked workers, those little ants. Working all day long, carrying things, bringing things, lifting. Okay, now look at the season change. All of a sudden, we're back to winter. Not yet. Say it ain't so. We just got the warm spring. By moonlight, a mouse who is bounding around leaves delicate prints all over the ground. I've seen them at my own house. In a pattern of 4 that repeats and repeats, 2 tiny front paws, 2 bigger back feet. On a diet, on the dirt or in snow, the pattern you see makes the mouse part of nature's geometry. So this same pattern, and you'll see all kinds of footprints in the snow, right? But you can, if you're good at that, you can identify what animal. As he scurries about nibbling acorns and seeds, the occasional insects, whatever he needs, till an owl takes flight to dine for the night, and then the mouse and his footprints head out of sight. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there, or an owl trying to eat a mouse world. Okay, now remember we saw the snake on the beginning page as well. On diamondback snakes and on copperhead snakes, you'll recognize diamond and triangle shapes. Kind of ish. Well, here's definitely triangle right here, right? Well, I guess that's diamond more than triangle. Well, if you cut it in half, you'd have 2 triangles. The snake rubs its nose on a branch or a rock and then takes off its skin like a knee-high sock. Off comes the old skin, and waiting below, repeating designs reappear in a row. Watch your house. You might find some skin of snakes in your garden. Okay, now we're back out of winter again here. That's good. We're in the ocean. Sea stars have 5 arms or 6 or more. with sensors called eye spots. Like all of these are little eyes, all these little dots that help them explore. They grow back an arm if it gets into scrapes, for they take such great pride in their bright, starry shapes. Gotta go down to the ocean to see those. We don't have those here in Belgrade. And check out the puffer fish. Look at him. Okay, here he is, thorny little puffer fish floating around, right? And then, this is pretty cool. They put the words in the semicircle around the big puffer fish. The animal known as the puffer fish does not want to be someone's gourmet dish. Whenever it senses there's something to fear, it puffs itself up like it's almost a sphere, like it's almost a circle. Well, it's a circle with spikes. I don't know, spiky circle. Okay, now this is beautiful, right? Fibonacci. I think it's called Fibonacci in math. The beautiful spirals on top shell snails are miniature castles with tiny details. The spirals go round, getting wider and wider till you get to the snail, the shells inside her. So if you get lucky this summer and you get down to the beach and you find yourself a shell, really study the patterns. They're incredible. So, you have it. I think you'll agree that creatures on land, in the air, and in the sea make patterns and shapes quite naturally. Yes, oh look, ooh, like who's this one in here? Ooh, look at those eyes. And then in the very back, they do a really neat thing, and they tell you again about each of the animals that they talked about in this book, and give you a little more detail, as all good nonfiction books do. And that's what this is, a nice little nonfiction book. So Betsy and Steve, bravo to you both. And now, my friends, let's move over to make a little animal symmetry of our own. Don't buzz off. Come to the hive with me. Yep, I know, you guessed it, that's my little bee. I don't quite know which type of bee he is because, full disclosure here, I was doing my craft. I grabbed a marker that was like a golden color. Well, it's definitely a golden color. I thought it would be more yellow, but it was more orange. So, whatever, the book seemed to show a picture of more orange too. But today when I looked at the bees outside, I definitely saw some yellow. So, what you're going to get, and you can make it whatever color you want, you're going to have this color paper of a bee. Yeah. So you do your coloring first, so if you have to go out of the lines, no problemo. And then if, depending on your need, you might get some help cutting this out. I will tell you, don't bother cutting out these little antennae because you're going to have new ones to put on. And these would be a bummeroony to try and cut. So, no, just cut the basic shape out, and then you'll have a piece of cardstock. I love doing this to show you. Boom, boom, yep, right, much thicker paper. So now you've got your cutout that's colored, and you have your thicker paper glued to your colored paper. So that now it has some support, right? If it didn't, it would just fall right apart and it wouldn't stand up like this. So, okay, so then, remember I told you about the antennae. So you're going to have whatever color pipe, well, I say pipe cleaners, they're not that anymore, but craft cleaners, I don't know what to call them, craft somethings. But anyway, you're going to play around, have some fun. Make a little curly Q shape for the antennas. You'll have two of them. Yep, okay. Then you have some big googly eyes. I actually tried this now that I think about it. I'm not going to put the big ones in because the big ones took way too much of its little face up. So you're going to have the little ones. They look more proportionate to the piece. Yep. Okay, then once it's all dried, all glued together, your antenna's on, and what I did, quite honestly, The glue wasn't sticking. I used just clear tape and I taped it on and glued it. They're on there now. Then you'll get a craft stick so that you can have some, like, you know, running around the house with your bee time, or whatever you choose to do, running around with your little bee. And then inside your kit, you'll have some fun little whatever blingy. These are blingy little flowers. And then I found one that looked like a stinger. Okay, not the most favorite part, but okay, favorite until you feel one. On that note, look for patterns in nature. They are everywhere. See you next time. Bye-bye.